This is a brand new Amazon Kindle Fire HD take apart repair guide. We're going to show you how to fully take apart the device and replace things like the screen or other internal flex cables. So first thing first, make sure the device is fully off. From there, we can use a safe open pry tool to begin releasing all the clips holding the back cover in place. Work your way in one corner and begin releasing a single clip. Once that clip is released, you'll be able to dig your pry tool deep enough to release all the other clips as shown in the video. So the clips are released, you'll now be able to remove the back cover. With all the internals exposed, we're going to start by removing the two speaker assemblies. The top one will have two small Phillips screwdrivers, which will need to be removed. The lower speaker assembly will have a single small Phillips screw to remove. Once that is done, you can use the safe open pry tool to gently lift the connection and remove the lower speaker assembly. Using a small Phillips screwdriver, remove the single small Phillips screw as shown in the video. This will allow you to release all three of these pop connections. Now you need to use a pry tool to gently lift the copper tape located over the motherboard and battery cover. You now have 5 small Phillips screws that will need to be removed from the motherboard. The screws removed, we will now have 2 more connections on the motherboard to release. First one will be a jawbone connector. To simply release this one, you do not need to remove the cable at this time. The second one will be the battery connector. To simply wiggle it out of the socket. Use a safe open pry tool to gently lift up the antenna flex cable. You can then release it from the battery housing. Once that is done, you can use a small Phillips screwdriver to remove the 4 small Phillips screws holding the battery in place. This will be 1 Torx T5 screw that will need to be removed. With all the screws removed, you can now remove the battery from the device. Battery removed, you can now release the 2 final connections on the motherboard. First one will be the upper speaker assembly. The second will be the flex cable that you released earlier. These connections released, you can now gently lift the motherboard and remove it. You can now remove the upper speaker assembly as shown in the video. Upper right hand side, there will be one jaw connector which will need to be released. You'll also be able to remove the power button and volume buttons. There's a small piece of copper tape covering one more small Phillips screw. With the screw uncovered, you will now be able to remove 4 more small Phillips screws as shown in the video. With the safe open pry tool, you can now release the headphone jack cable as shown in the video. You can now use your safe open pry tool to begin releasing the camera flex cable as shown in the video. You can now remove the power button flex cable. From there, we'll need to use a pry tool to gently lift the Wi-Fi flex cable, which is held with adhesive, onto the frame of the screen assembly. Once this has been done, you'll need to use your small Phillips screwdriver to remove the final 2 small Phillips screws. The final screw is removed. You now remove the back housing from the screen assembly. Be cautious of the lower flex cable as to not rip it. Heat gun or hairdryer to begin warming the adhesive located on the outside edges of the screen assembly. Use quick movements on the front and back for about 45 seconds. With the adhesive properly warmed, we can now use a safe open pry tool to begin releasing the screen assembly from the front frame. Fire HD uses a lot of adhesive, so be sure to reheat the adhesive if necessary. Work cautiously around the flex cable and then continue to work around all 4 edges. All the adhesive released, you can now remove the outer frame from the screen assembly. This was a full take apart video for the Kindle Fire HD.